Hello and welcome to yet another episode of ETH Insights. Organizational design often sits in the background of business strategy until it doesn't. From how a company scales across regions to how culture reinforces or undermines goals, structure and behavior quietly shapes outcomes at every level. Yet they remain among the most under-examined levers of long-term performance. Today we are joined by Nitin Vyas, CEO of Asia Cluster at Beumer Group, a global leader in material handling and intralogistics systems. From airport baggage handling systems to warehouse automation and parcel logistics, Beumer builds the infrastructure that keeps supply chains moving. In this conversation, Nitin will talk about how organizational culture evolves, what makes structure effective, and how leadership behaviors signal and sustain what companies truly value. Hello Nitin, welcome to ETH Insights.
Thanks for taking time and coming over and talking to me.
Thank you. Nitin, from your vantage point, how have you seen the organizational structures evolve, within the Beumer Group and within the industry to meet the evolving needs of today's businesses? And which characteristics do you think offer the greatest resilience?
I would say a structure is a subset of a larger canvas of organization which has got behaviors, culture, and all those things. But if we focus just on structure, typically we see organizations as a hierarchical organization structures, and then as the organizations grow, they try to build the matrix into it, that there are line functions, there are business focused organization structures, and then there are line functions which are discipline based. And then very interesting organization which we are trying to also do within Beumer as the business is growing. And the thing is, the life cycle of a task or a project or a business is becoming shorter and shorter. And then if you have very rigid structures of organization, they are not able to address that. They are not able to accommodate that. And there, the hierarchical or matrix might not be the perfect solution. And then there is an organization called network organization. And I have a great analogy I learned from our chairman, and that analogy is like, what is the task of a sailboat? So they have a home harbor where they get their supplies and repairs and all. But the main task is to go to the high seas and sail. And that's their task. And that's not very long. They do a task, come back to home harbor. And that's where the network organization play. So you build a temporary organization around a task, draw people from different disciplines within your organization, build a network, finish the task, and then they are back to their home harbor. And I think that some of the organizations mastered who grew faster. There's one of the biggest consumer goods company which did, and at the peak, I think they had hundreds of network organizations within their organization. So any new product, any new assignment was a network. You finish, dismantle. So I think saying that one structure works will not. When I see Beumer, when we were very small, maybe 50 crores, 100 crores, that simple organization, classical hierarchical was working. As the business grows, teams grows, geography grows, it starts changing, and you need to build that resilience in the organization, in your company, that the culture is such that adaptability is there, so that resilience, people are not stuck to the structure but to the culture and the behavior, so that they adapt. And that's the learning in past 15 years within Beumer, I would say, but in the past 10 years another company combined together. That's the learning for the organizations.
Nitin, you rightly spoke about behavior and culture. I remember Peter Drucker, he famously said that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So at Beumer Group, what are some of the intentional choices that you have made to shape organizational behavior and internal culture?
So for us, the culture behavior is very much important than the financial goals. So the goals can keep on changing. I saw an image, and I remember from my MBA days, the first subject was organization behavior, and there was a book by Laurie J. Mullins, and in the first chapter, there was an iceberg of organization. Right. And in that, what you see on the top is the structure of the organization, financial goals, the assets, the performance. But what is underlying, and which is the bigger part of that iceberg, is the attitude, the way we communicate, the pattern of communication, how people are treated. And that's so important. So in an organization, there are two parts. There are people who have their needs and aspiration. And then other side, there are organizations which have their goals. So the art is how to align these two so that people are not forced to do things, they are willingly work on that. And that's where the culture works. For us, you can write a lot of values on the walls and all, but how do you live? So how we do is we have, so to say, 5 core values. We have 6 golden rules of doing business. We have 9 leadership principles where do's and don'ts are there. When these are emanated, these are lived by people, that's the behavior and that's the culture. So for us, if you say, do you give higher priority to productivity or to responsibility? If you make people responsible, if the people take ownership of the goals, then goal is a result of that ownership. Productivity is the result of that responsibility. In the organizations, the responsibility and ownership is bigger than the goal. Like what we say, we try to have no financial targets for people. And target are many times goes wrong. So globally, in 5,400 people in 70 countries, 50% of the targets are same for every single employee. That is the global targets. And 50%, which are for individuals, those should not be financial. In the target setting, you don't define the goal, you define the journey. So it's always easy to talk about the peak, Mount Everest, but nobody talks about the journey. And if you define the journey, goal becomes easy. We say that it doesn't matter whether you come first in the race or second. What matters is the effort and the commitment with which you ran. And that's more important for us from the result. Result happens. Results will happen. And if you see any company which has lasted more than 100 years, their businesses have kept on changing, but the ethos, the culture, the commitment remains same. And that is for us very, very important and the centerpiece for us. And when you do mergers, acquisitions, how culture and behavior not getting aligned made us fail. And when got aligned, it gave a big success.
Now, coming to mergers and acquisitions, some M&As, they falter not just because of operational or say financial mismatch, but also because of cultural misalignment. So here, how would you say that due diligence, cultural due diligence, what role does it play in this regard?
Personal experience, we did an acquisition in India in 2011 of an Indian SME. We did due diligence of all the aspects which typically you do, legal, financial, technical and all. But how to do due diligence of culture? It's a feel, right? It's a feel how people are behaving. Yes, you know that this is not a behavior which we want. This is not how it is working. But how do you put it and how do you...
It's an intangible, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that becomes so important. And my personal experiences, we acquired, and I'm not saying the culture, behavior was wrong over there. That was perfect for an organization where the owner is sitting and he knows everybody and he can direct and it can work. And people are waiting for the direction to be given. Maybe that was perfect for there. But when we acquired, it was not how it was working. And I could see, and we are a very patient company because we say we are not looking for short-term gains. We're looking for long-term success. So like one of our strategy which ended in 2023, we said we want to be the best, not biggest. No aspiration to become the biggest in the world, but to be lasting. And they're coming back to the M&A. And the experiences, and this we saw when we were growing fast. We did acquisitions, and sometimes you acquire companies, sometimes you acquire talent.
Right.
So you basically see this is my competitor or this is a similar company, and you lock, stock, barrel some 50 people come. When they come, they
Their
bring their
culture.
culture also. And we had multiple times, and people used to joke, oh, this has some other company's culture has more or less coming over here.
So it was that visible, you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
So at a global level and Indian level when we did. So we said, okay, we had 3 different offices within Gurgaon, and it was like running 2 different companies within one company, different behavior, different processes. We had to bite a bullet, and we said, okay, we close office, we bring everybody in under one roof first within India. It'll have a huge cost, but then we start working on culture workshops, behavioral workshops, what is accepted, what is not, and then keep walking around, looking at, hearing how people are doing conversations, which conversations people are avoiding. Are they waiting for somebody to make decisions, or are they making the decisions on their own? So are they empowered enough, or their fear from the past is carried forward? And you will see many times people say when they come to new organization, it used to happen like this and we will do like this. It was working over there, but may not work. So it's like I give example to some young kids that you have 2 neighbors, 2 houses, 2 families. When you enter a house, how you are greeted, how you are treated, how you are served in 2 houses is different. It's not bad or good. That's their behavior, culture, and that's what is like organization, a company. It's a collection of people, and that's why we in Beumer we don't call it human resources. We call it people and culture. So our human resources department is called as people and culture. So it's about people and building the right culture.
Nitin, when an organization, when it grows from, say, an SME to a conglomerate, what are some of the cultural ingredients you would say are necessary for long-term success, and which traits do you think that organizations they ignore at their own peril?
And company to company, organization to organization, it will differ. And some of the financial market driven companies might not agree to what I say, but it worked for us. So I subscribe to that, and I quite vocally these things I propagate these. Are you focused always on financial targets, or are you focused on taking responsibility, ownership, performance, supporting each other? And trust is a very important part in a business, and a resilience in the business in the long term. And trust is mathematical formula. And typically if you ask somebody, who do you trust? Somebody will say my wife, mother and all. Why? Because there is a relation. And the trust has developed over the period because it has multiplied by time. And there is a reliability on that particular person. But there is a denominator which is an ego, that I know better. And the moment this goes high, trust goes down. So I would work on, when we are scaling up, when we are going, there's a very nice book I would like to quote by Mr. Harsh Mariwala, Harsh Realities.
Yeah.
And he says, the first product which you make in your company is the culture. All other products over the life of the organization will keep on changing.
Right.
When you are growing up, when you are scaling up, it needs to be a controlled growth. So when you are growing up, scaling up, you get a lot of hunters. You need a lot of hunting, and suddenly a lot of rabbits are coming, but all blooded. Not even one proper one. So take less during your growth, but build the capability and capacity to sustain that growth. We always talk about 10x, 20x and all, but we forget, do we have the capability and capacity to sustain that growth or manage that growth? I say it's a very tricky thing. Do you bring the business first or the organization? Or you build the organization first and then bring the business? I think in my world, both of them are wrong. It's the art how you balance the organization development and the business development. They have to go in sync. And we are in a plant machinery engineering business. So our projects last for anything from 6 months to 36 months. Like we are doing a big project in Navi Mumbai, which is a 18 to 24 months we have to deliver. And in that, when I'm going for that, do I build an organization to serve that particular project? And if I don't get, what happens with the organization? And at the same time, if I get that particular project, and if I don't have organization, and if I get the right people after first 3 months, I'm going to make huge losses. So what is the timing to balance between an organization and the business? That's the key. You can grow, you can talk about 10x, but will you sustain? Will it be profitable? Do you have right people in right place at right time? Do you have right capability, right capacity? So I would rather look at capability, capacity than the growth. Growth can happen once I have secured and managed this.
It's interesting how you have differentiated between, business and organization, which I think in today's times they're used quite interchangeably and looked as synonyms of each other, which is not the case. They're two different entities. That also makes me ask you, you're a CEO, you're a leader yourself. Personally, how do you model the behavior that you want to see across your organizations, and how do you also hold your teams accountable, not just for you mentioned, not just the 10x growth, not just for the results that they achieve, but also how they achieve those results?
The most important thing starts with me. And when I say my core value is about trust, respect, and fairness, in my leadership principle, I talk about respect. And how do you define respect? For me, a respect to a janitor and a CEO has to be same. So my behavior towards a janitor and a CEO, if it is not same, then I'm something wrong. I cannot ask somebody to behave and work on certain principles when I'm not behaving on that. So it starts with a person, then a group, then an organization. I need to ensure that I am behaving. I need to have people who are behaving, and then the groups are behaving in same manner. And there are groups who can influence. There are people who can influence. They can be the mascots. And then you bring it in the organization. So we did a very small thing that we have on the wall, cards, which I saw in one of the great companies in India. Their organization structure, behavior was really good. We have a wall where you have cards for our 9 leadership principles. And there we encourage people, you applaud others. So if I have that, I think and act like Beumer Group. So Beumer Group is first.
Yeah.
And then if you find any employee who has done this, you take that card, applaud that person, put it in the box. And then every month we are taking and rewarding or recognizing the person in front of everyone, that this is our ambassador, mascot of the behavior, the culture which we want.
So that is also, you're saying, people driven compared to what we see today, that, the higher up will decide who has done what kind of work and needs to be recognized.
I always say that to my colleagues over here, that possibly I'm not the smartest guy in the group. And for me to succeed, it is important that I'm surrounded by much smarter people. And the same thing I read again in Harsh Realities. I'll keep quoting some of the books, and I might not be from the top business school, top engineering school, but I can have much smarter people. It is important for me as a leader to identify. It's not required for me to know everything and do everything, but it's important for me to know who is capable to do, and these people are around us. And on that journey, how you build your teams and how you empower them, that's important. So I said there are 2 kinds of managers. There are hands-on managers and fingers in manager. So hands-on, those who have worked or who knows, and they let the people do, and they know when the mistake is going to happen. And the others are fingers in, who are micromanaging, and that should not be the way. We are humans, we are not perfect. There will be mistakes. So how much mistake you allow? What is the leeway you give? So I give an example of flour, atta, which you are doing. A pinch of salt is good enough in that, but a fistful of salt is not good. So you need to be wise enough to see how much it is allowed and how it is allowed, and you guide. And many times what happens is, when you are top driven, you are always very number driven, or you can give a strategic view, but have the involvement of the team. When you are building a strategy, like we are running our strategy 2028, which started from 24, it's a partner of choice with collaboration and differentiation. And we had involved everybody. It's not globally, it was not just decided, but there was participation at the world level in the contribution of that. Because if you don't involve people, they will never own it. We are not mechanical machines. We are humans with aspirations, feelings, and if we are not emotionally attached to it, we cannot give our 100%. Then we are salary driven, incentive driven. That's important, but generally I found that's not the drive to achieve the sustainable business. Those who are every 2 years, I'm resigning, give me money, does not believe in the culture. Yes, organizations are cognizant of what is market paying. They all do that. But the drive which people do is if they don't own it, if it is completely top driven, it will never work. It might work for something, and sometimes you have to take decisions. You should take decisions, like I gave example, when in a bowl of flour you have a fistful of that, then you have to jump in, but not every day. It cannot work when it is completely top driven.
Then at a time, and when there's so much of automation happening, everything is process driven, there are structures in place, AI is now become an integral part. How do you ensure, and if you were to give 3 ideas around this, how do you ensure that the leader does not lose sight of the human in the room? At the end of the day, you're still dealing with human emotions. So how do you ensure that when you take care of that human?
Things are moving faster than what we see, and there is an undercurrent of and we can see in the IT industry suddenly it's completely changing the landscape of the business. You can't ignore that. How do you take it? And I'll quote another book. There is a book called Co-Intelligence by Ethan Mollick. And there, one very nice statement is that invite AI and technology to the table whenever you are having any discussion or meeting. Make them a co-worker. Once you bring them as a co-worker, things will pan out right. And people will understand, will not fight the technology, will take the technology together with them. So you should not be fighting the technology. I'm not scared that people will lose jobs. I say when the automation happens, the mankind gets lifted up. We need to focus not on that I need to block automation or technology, rather focus on people part, that how do I skill the people so that they can work with the technology together. I still firmly believe that technology will not take over the human part. They can be the biggest and very good assistants to us, technology, but the decision making can be faster by human, keeping their emotion side. So these are the 2 broad points I would say. Help in people to get to the level so that they take the technology as part of their. Second, bring technology, always invite technology, whether it is AI, ML, bring them inside your business. And the third thing is, I would encourage organizations, those who are very old organizations, sometimes a change is very difficult. The biggest difficulty in the larger organizations, bigger organization, how do I change? And there, create very small groups, create incubator within your company to experiment with those, and then bring them in. Take your teams out and bring over there, and they can become the role models, and so influence groups, so to say, for those technology. If you don't do it, somebody will disrupt your job. Rather be the disruptor, you be the cannibalizer for your thing. So these are the 3 things I would say.
Thank you, Nitin. I think at a time when scale beats structure or soul of an organization, to hear your views on cultural cohesion and clarity and alignment, I think it's been inspiring. And thank you for reminding us that it's not just about what a company builds. That is important, but then it's equally important that how that company is built. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and this fantastic conversation. I loved it. Thank you.